Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Friday, July 19th edition of the MMAOB Daily podcast. I'm your host, as always, Adam Martin. I'm going to be taking you guys through the latest in the world of mixed martial arts. Follow me on Twitter, guys, at MMAdamMartin. This podcast is available at MMAOddsbreaker.com and on our YouTube channel. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, check me out at shirtout.com, bjpenn.com, MMAnews.com, and MMAratings.net. Happy Friday, everyone. We made it to the end of the week. So that means UFC is going to be tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to that card. UFC San Antonio, myself and Cole Shelton did a full card, all 13 fights. We broke all of them down on Tuesday, so go back and check out that episode. It's on the YouTube channel as well. Good breakdowns with Cole, and we'll be back next Tuesday as well, breaking down UFC 240. And Cole actually had an exclusive interview with Frankie Edgar, which he'll be talking about on our podcast. So I'm looking forward to talking with Cole about his interview with Frankie. But for today, I just got a few news and notes. Nothing crazy has happened the last couple of days. No insane fight announcements or anything besides yesterday with Cerrone and Iaquinta. Just kind of a lull, I guess, in MMA news. But that's not a bad thing. It's always crazy. So I'm sure after the fights tomorrow night, we're going to have a lot of headlines to talk about Monday morning. So anyways, quick day today, hopefully on Friday. Let's get right into it. First thing I want to talk about, Myles Jury, former UFC fighter, former contender at lightweight and former featherweight fighter, has signed a free agent deal with Bellator. So I think this is a really good signing by Bellator. I'm not surprised the UFC let him go. He's coming off 2 straight losses to Andre Fili and Chad Mendes, was knocked out by Mendes. I think his time has kind of wore out in the UFC. So I think it's a good signing by Bellator. Myles Jury's had an interesting career in the UFC. He came to the UFC as a really top prospect. He was 9-0, making his debut, mostly fought in King of the Cage. Highly touted prospect. This was in 2012. He made his debut on The Ultimate Fighter Live. That was the 15th season of The Ultimate Fighter. First fight on the house, getting into the house, he beat Akbar Ariel, and then in the house, he actually lost to Iaquinta, which at the time was a massive upset. I remember the odds in this fight. Everyone thought Myles Jury would win. Iaquinta was not as highly touted of a prospect. Iaquinta ended up pulling off, I believe it was a split decision. And I think Jury closed at like minus 400. I was looking at the odds this morning. I just remember being a big favorite that night. He lost the fight, and people were like kind of down on him. He ended up, obviously not going very far in the house, whereas Iaquinta actually went to the finals and lost to Michael Chiesa, who ended up winning the show. But Jury actually had a pretty good career in the UFC overall. 8-4 record in the octagon. That's not bad. He had some pretty good wins too. Michael Johnson was probably his best win. Also Diego Sanchez, Takanori Gomi. But he had some losses as well. Like I mentioned, Mendes and Fili, as well as Donald Cerrone and what was the other? He had one other loss too that I'm just not remembering at the moment. Pull them out here. But yes, I like the sign for Bellator because he's only 30 years old, so he's still got some potential. And the other loss I forgot to mention was Charles Oliveira. So he had 4 losses, but 8 wins. So that's pretty solid. 8-4 is a good record, no doubt about it. But yes, like I said, great signing for Bellator here, I think. 30 years old, so he's still relatively young. And here's the thing I like about it. He's not going to be fighting these top guys like Fili and Mendes. He's going to be fighting lower level guys. Also at 155. 145 is not the right weight class for him. Cutting too much weight. He's a 5'11 guy. He's a tall guy. He shouldn't be fighting at 145. 155 is a better weight class for him. And in the UFC, he's fighting really big wrestlers. It's tough for him there. But in Bellator, I think he's going to be better matched up against some of these guys. And Bellator can afford to take him slowly. They can give him guys, like lower level guys in his first couple of fights, and then kind of build him up. Will he get a title shot? Possibly in the future. Who knows? Maybe a couple wins. And you could fight a guy like Chandler or Pitbull. But for now, I think just take it slow. And, I think it's a good signing. Like I said, 30 years old. He's still got potential, untapped potential, in my opinion. Just never realized in the UFC. Again, not surprised to let him go. He's only 2-4 in his last 6 fights. And he was a free agent. So, he chose to exercise his rights as a free agent and test the waters. And Bellator gave him a deal that he wanted. So good for Myles Jury. I'm happy for him, man. This is a guy that I think at times was overrated, at times was underrated. And I think at the end of his career, kind of got underrated a little bit, and flaming out there with a couple losses, it happens, right? So overall, I think he's a good fighter, a well-rounded fighter, and I think this is going to be a pretty good signing for Bellator overall, just like some of their other ex-UFC signings. I don't know if he'll ever win a title like like Bader will or Mousasi, but I think he can actually be a pretty good lightweight, and they need lightweights in Bellator. Maybe they do a lightweight tournament next year. I don't know. Maybe they have plans for a Grand Prix, and Jury's one of the guys in it. But either way, I like this signing for them. A couple other news notes here. Thiago Santos had surgery yesterday on both of his knees. So he was really banged up from that John Jones fight, as we know. He says everything's fixed. That's what he says. So we'll see how he comes back. He'll be out for about a year. It'll be a while until we see Thiago Santos fight again. But when he comes back, he's going to be one of the top light heavyweights as far as rankings go. It just remains to be seen how he'll look in his return. I mean, guys that get these kind of serious injuries, especially he's in the mid-30s too, so he's not like a young guy getting these injuries. He's in his mid-30s. It's possible, and very likely actually, the John Jones fight was the height of his career, the near win over John Jones, which I thought he won again. A lot of people did, but either way, great fight there, and I think he proved to everyone that he really is one of the best fighters in the world at 205 and 185 when he was there too. So he's had a great career in the UFC, and I'm glad that the surgery was successful because the guy's a really good fighter, and I hope that he does come back, and I hope he does dominate when he comes back. But again, it's kind of unlikely, I think, at this point to see him being that competitive with John Jones again, just considering his age, the injuries, and also the fact that John Jones, if they ever do rematch, John Jones is the master of making adjustments, as we saw in the Gustafsson rematch and as we saw in the Cormier rematch where he finished both of them. A couple other things here. Francis Ngannou says he wants to wait for a heavyweight title shot, and I can't blame him. I mean, why would he take another fight in the meantime, right? I think this is all going to depend on what DC wants to do. Does DC want to fight Francis? If he beats Stipe, does DC want to fight John Jones? Does he want to retire? It's really going to depend on that. I think DC versus John Jones is probably the fight the UFC wants to make next, that trilogy fight. But I find a lot of intrigue in DC versus Francis Ngannou fight. DC keeps saying, well, Francis is the same guy. You know, I'm going to explore his wrestling. We'll see. I mean, I think he just doesn't want to fight him personally. I can't blame him either. Who wants to fight Francis Ngannou? The guy's scary, right? So we'll see what happens there. I love Francis, though, and he definitely deserves a title shot coming off that massive knockout win over JDS and also the wins over Curtis Blades and Cain Velasquez. The guy is clearly a number contender, but if John Jones decides to move to heavyweight or if DC decides to move back to light heavyweight to fight John Jones, I think that's going to put possibly just a little bit longer of a wait for Ngannou. But we'll see what happens there. Nothing's set in stone yet, and DC still has to beat Stipe. If Stipe beats DC, you might see a trilogy fight. We don't really know. Although I guess if Stipe does beat DC, you could see possibly Stipe versus Ngannou too as well. There's a lot going on here. We have to wait and see what happens with that fight. That's in about a month from now, so I'm looking forward to that matchup. That's going to be a good one. What else here? Okay, Ilir Latifi versus Volkan Oezdemir. This fight was actually supposed to take place in 2 weeks at UFC Newark. This fight's been moved to UFC Uruguay, which is 2 weeks later, or a week later, I should say. Apparently, there's visa issues. I'm assuming it's with Oezdemir. He's had visa issues in the past. I guess no surprise here. And really not a bad thing it's being moved back a week. We know that the fight was scheduled previously for UFC Sweden. Latifi got hurt at the last second. I don't think a week later is going to kill either of these guys. No huge deal. I would assume it wouldn't be, but maybe they have family and friends that book plane tickets. I don't really know. That could be unfortunate for them, but overall, I don't think it's a big deal. Just wanted to mention that. And one suspension that's already been basically finished, but Alen Amedovski, this is hilarious. He tested positive for marijuana on 420. So I'm surprised more fighters don't test positive on 420, right? Like this guy unfortunately got caught by USADA on the wrong day. Clearly, he probably choked up a little bit. It's all good. He was celebrating, whatever. He actually got a 6-month suspension, but it was reduced because he, I guess, followed USADA's protocols and did their program or whatever. And he's going to still be fighting John Phillips in September in Copenhagen. So really, no harm, no foul. I didn't really affect anything. He lost his last fight to Jocko anyways, so no big deal either way. But it's just kind of funny he tested positive on 420. Anyways, that's all I want to talk about today, guys. Really short show, but like I said, not too much in the news. I'm just going to double check to make sure I didn't miss anything before I get out of here. Yeah, I don't see much. The weigh-ins are actually happening pretty soon right now for UFC San Antonio. That card is tomorrow night. Let me just plug in my stuff. So again, follow me on Twitter at MMAOB. This podcast, MMAOddsbreaker.com. And on MMAOddsbreaker.com, you can check out my opening odds preview for UFC on ESPN4. Also, my main event preview for Leon Edwards versus Rafael dos Anjos. You can check that out later today. The podcast with myself and Cole Sheldon breaking down UFC on ESPN4. That is also available at MMAOddsbreaker.com, as well as the other podcasts I did this week. So check all those out. SureDog.com. I have my Prime Picks article ready for my top plays at UFC on ESPN4 as well. I'll be doing the play-by-play tomorrow night. I'm looking forward to doing that. 13 fights. It's going to be a long night, but good card. BJPen.com. I will be back for my Sunday shift. I'll be doing all the news and recapping basically what happened the day before and just whatever. I always write news for them. MMAnews.com and MMAratings.net. Also check those sites out. I appreciate you guys checking me out again. As always, the listeners are growing up, and I appreciate that, guys. Thank you so much for the support. Happy Friday, everyone. It's going to be a great weekend. I hope you guys really enjoy ESPN4 and whatever else happens in this wacky world of MMA. Until then, guys, have an amazing weekend, and I'll talk to you very shortly.